Oh, we're live. No one on. Oh, 6 people on already. Holy cow. You guys not have a life? Oh, I know Darren's down in Montreal. Good evening, Darren. Hope everything's going well down there and that you're able to find scraps of food here and there to sustain yourself. Will you be home this weekend? Oh, 7 people online now. If those online can just pop in and just say hi with your name, that'd be awesome. Just to let us know who you are. Oh, okay, so you're going down to your parents. Oh, that's good. Oh, you're going to be going down after. Oh, perfect. So we'll see you at groceries. Good evening, Joe and Steve up there in Fenland Falls. John. And John, I've got you in the log already because just as I was setting up my spreadsheet, I heard you come on. So you're already in there, so you don't have to try to make the pile up. And yeah, I guess it's 7 o'clock. Man, a minute goes fast around here. So better get this show on the road. Good evening, everybody. This is Laird, VE3LKS, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the COVID-19 Rag Chew, Week 9, Wednesday night edition. I know it's crazy. We've been going that long, but oh well. So hate to tell you this, but you're stuck with me for another 60 to 90 minutes tonight while I shamelessly promote amateur radio and the North Shore Amateur Radio Club. And have fun with the guys that are local on the radio, and enjoy seeing the comments from the fellas that are joining us on YouTube. So with that, I will take a standby, make sure my keyboard is all ready, make sure my cursor's on the right spot on the spreadsheet, and I will start taking check-ins.
VA3 KJI. Victor Echo 3, Papa Whiskey Juliet. Victor Alpha 3, Delta Charlie Echo.
VA3, BTQ.
The E3CRU.
E3KZD.
Victor Alpha 3, Tango Papa Sierra. Victor Echo 3, Victor Golf Juliet. VE3 IRB. VE3 HIX.
Okay, I heard HIX, but I was expecting RTV to be there too, because usually you guys are joined at the microphone. Okay, I'll tell you what I've heard so far, gentlemen, and it was a nice, clean check-in tonight. No pile-ups, at least not that I'm aware of. I'll tell you who I've got. I've got VE3KZT John. I caught him earlier when he was just coming on. VA3 KJI Grant. VE3 PWJ Peter. VA3 DCE Doug. VA3 BTQ Jackie. VE3 CRU Bill. VA3 TPS Steve. VE3 VGJ Joe. VE3 IRB Robert. VE3 HIX Bob. And online, we do have Darren. Darren's down in Montreal, but he will be home for the weekend and planning on meeting the crowd up to get groceries. And let's see, anybody else online? Oh, Jeff's got the Ragnet Bar and Grill open. Let's see, what's the special tonight? The Roadkill Wednesday. There we go. So it's Roadkill Wednesday. And he's got Squirrel in a Stick, which is one of our famous ones, and the Rabbit Stew. And available without the bunny ears. Oh no, that's a lame reference to antennas. Anyways, I'll take a quick standby and see if anybody else wants to check in.
E3 RPM.
Okay, very good. I acknowledge Scott, VE3RPN there. And so we will go back to the top of the list to John. And I think tonight's topic will be who was the major influencer in getting you into ham radio, or perhaps who is an influencer right now that's keeping you in ham radio. So let's go up to John, VE3 KZT, and good evening.
Good evening, Laird, and all those on that this evening. Well, before I got started, I tried to get an email off to Steve, and it came back to me, so I had something wrong. Okay, I think I mentioned this earlier. I used to live in Scarborough, Morningside, Kingston Road area, and it was a CB nut at the time, and little did I know, around the corner from me was a Metropolitan Toronto police officer who was a ham. V3 INO, George Cross, and he kept looking around the neighborhood to find out who this character was who was messing up his QSOs on the ham stand. So that was how I got started. He nailed me down and knocked on the door, and then eventually I got together with him and got into the code and got my ticket. And that was in, early 60s, I guess, 62, 63, somewhere around there. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Back to that V3KZT.
Okay, very good. So it's either get your ham ticket or do some hard time. Perfect, John. That's a great story, and that's cool that he took you under his wing and got you involved in the hobby. And most guys would have just sat there and complained about something, but that's a good example of someone being proactive and making the best of it. And that's a great way to promote the hobby. And let's see. Now we're down to Grant, VA3 KJI.
Good evening, Laird, and everybody on frequency. I don't know how you're reading me, Laird. I'm actually on my handheld.
You're fine.
Up in the north end of the Schwa. I'm mobile portable, if you will. And the guy who got me in ham radio, or got me interested, I was about 6 years old. He was a big ham back at the same radio where I'm from. But I was amazed by it. And he had, portable Kenwood stuff that would be the size of a good sized cooler now that he used to carry around in his car. I thought it was amazing. And my call sign, sort of a tip of the hat to a friend of mine who I started work with. He was VE3 KJI. So I went that way. And I don't know if he still operates or not. He's moved to England. So back to you.
Oh, and another cool story. I like the call sign one, especially how you grabbed one that was close to a friend of yours. So yeah, that works. That's perfect. Peter, VE3 PWJ, and yes, I did listen to some of that organ music. The guy's phenomenal, and having an organ in his house is just amazing. I can only imagine the dishes vibrating off the shelves and everything, though.
Yeah, I sent that over to Doug too, by the way, and he's jealous now, big time. But that fellow can play. It's just unbelievable. It's really nice to listen to it. If you got a nice audio system on your computer, it's just beautiful there. And Roy AAF is who got me into ham radio many years ago, and he taught me code, and boy did I sweat bullets learning that code, I'll tell you. It was not fun. Well, go ahead and get lots more beans there, Laird, and I'm glad you enjoyed the thing. I'm going to listen to that again tomorrow because there's a lot of nice music there. Over to you, Laird.
Yeah, I only got to listen to a few minutes there, about 15 minutes of it, because as you know, a lot of his videos are like 2.5 hours long. But I'm hoping that as I dig through it, hopefully he's got some places where he just has them individually listed, and you can pick a particular piece out instead of having to try to find it amongst the 2-hour sessions. But irregardless, it's amazing. Doug, VA3 DCE.
Good evening, Laird, and everybody else on frequency. I wish you'd given me about 24 hours warning, Laird, because I've drawn a total blank. I call it a senior's moment, but that's just an excuse. I can't think of how I got started in this or anything else. It's good 20 or 30 years ago now, but not as much changed, and I can't recall any specific person. But I'll work on it. Back to you, Laird.
Okay, very good, Doug. Well, we expect a full report tomorrow night, and go from there. Otherwise, you have to buy coffees on the weekend. Let's see. VA3 BTQ Jackie. Well, I know the answer to this one. I'm going to say it was her dad, but let's see what she says. Oh, did we lose Jackie? VA3 BTQ. Well, we'll come back to Jackie. Oh, and Grant, I just wanted to let you know that your handheld was doing great up there in the north end of the Schwa. So wherever you are, it's working perfect. VE3 CRU Bill.
Okay, the E3CRU here. Sounds like a good bunch coming down on the air. Just look at some young one, shorts there, long slim legs. I thought, geez, it's not quite that warm for me. Both of them got shorts on. But anyway, Hans Peters and I were in the same class and course in grade 9 and grade 10. We split. I went electronics. He stayed in general, and we became members of the North Down Amateur Radio Club. Did field day in '58. Then got into the code class. And stuck out and wrote his ticket. I was a scared little kid, afraid to face an examiner, so I never went for my ticket. I just hung around with Hansy. And so when Hansy passed away in 2000, my wife in 2001, I thought I'd pick up the pieces and move on and take the call sign VE3CRU with the blessing of Hansy's XYL Maryland. And so as I say, I was away from the hobby, by the way, all the time I was married, 34 years. So I had to get into catch-up mode and try and make up for what I didn't do. And I'm still trying to catch up. Anyway, this morning I got up early and turned the furnace back on. I had it off all night. Not too long after, I got smoke coming up through the vents and all that. I guess the motor overheated, seized, whatever. But I found out the squirrel cage blower had detached itself from the motor. They're one unit. It's a weird setup. So I've got a heating contractor coming in tomorrow to give me my first estimate to upgrade to, what do you call it? High efficiency there. The one I got right now is an 80 rating there. 78 is your lowest. And high efficiency starts at 95. So I wasted a lot of gas over the last 20 years. But anyway, that's life. We're moving on. The E3CRU.
Okay, very good, Bill. The gas company will be calling you, making sure that you're not bypassing the system or something when you switch to the high efficiency. I know when I put my high efficiency furnace in and the tankless hot water, I was on the monthly billing thing where it's like an average. And I think my monthly bill was usually $135 or something like that. And right now I think it's sitting right about $70 a month. So that's on the equal billing. But the first few months they just wouldn't believe me that I had such a low consumption of gas when I switched furnaces. They replaced the meter twice within about 6 months, and they sent guys out to check to make sure I hadn't bypass the meter and all sorts of fun stuff. But that's the joys of going to high efficiency. VA3 TPS. Oh, and I want to mention, it looks like Bill is on. William, VA3 WBX. He's online checking in. Good evening, William. Good to have you with us. And back to you, Steve, VA3 TPS.
Well, good evening, Laird, and to everybody on frequency tonight. We had a nice day up here, a beautiful day. With a lot of sun. Well, actually, I think I worked too hard today. Hi. Not according to the wife, though, that's for sure. It would be my shop teacher, my electronic shop teacher, Ted Graham. Can't remember his call now. So long ago, but he's the one that ran the amateur radio club in the high school and got me
me interested in it. That was the first time. The old ICO 7 drifting tree. And of course, I didn't get into it for some years later, but he opened my eyes to it. Back to you, Rich.
Okay, very good. And did you ever meet up with him on the air when you got your license, or was the time too far gone by then?
No, he passed away a few years before I got my license. I did end up buying one of my first HF radios, was an Icon 751. I believe it was, yeah. And that was his radio I bought through a fellow at the Pickering Club. And I used it for the first 6 months or so before I ended up updating.
Excellent. That's great when you can pick up someone's radio like that, especially if someone who was an influencer for you. And just letting everyone on YouTube know, I don't know what happened last night. YouTube just kept on cranking down, and so after the third time, I didn't bother resetting it. But if it does go off tonight, I will reset it again, and just give me a couple of minutes and then come back in. Oh, and it's good to see Lois just popped in. And Jeffrey, hopefully we'll hear Jeffrey on the air as well, but we'll write him down in the log, and nice to have you with us. Let's see, who's next? VE3 VGJ Joe.
Good evening, Laird and everybody on frequency. Well, my first experience with ham radio was a neighbor across the street. Was a listener, SWL, and I remember seeing him in the basement. He had a wire strung up and outside, and it was kind of interesting. I sort of planted the seed, but it was many, many years later when I moved out to this area there and involved, Peter there. I can't remember his call sign. And we got some CBs and started playing on CBs. We hooked them up to our snowmobiles. Was a push-to-talk button on the handlebars, wired our helmets with mics and speakers. And it was great when you're traveling along the trails, you could talk to each other. They had kits available you could buy for doing that sort of thing, but man, they're expensive. Anyway, that sort of was fun, and then the CBs eventually got to use other places. And then Peter, he was mentioned there was a course being offered by the North Shore Amateur Radio Club here. So we went to it, and Jesus, the school just next to you there. And that's where I took the training there along with Peter and yourself. Halfway through the course, though, I bought a house and dropped out of the course because I was busy worrying about the house and everything else, and I finished the course the following year. So I got my ticket just a year after yourself there. What was the other thing there? Anyway, that's basically how my history getting to amateur radio was.
Excellent. And if it's a Peter, I think you're talking about, he's the one who built that power supply that I was talking about on the weekend, and we need to keep after him to get back on the radio.
Yes, that's the Peter I'm talking about. He's the culprit. He's the one that got me into it.
Okay, so now we know who to blame, Doug. Oh, very good. No, it's funny how these things happen because, if it wasn't for these people that we're talking about tonight, none of us would know each other, probably. Yeah, there's a very good chance, that if we hadn't got into amateur radio, I wouldn't know who most of you guys are. So it's neat to hear the background stories. VE3. IRB, Robert.
V3 IRB. My interest was first peaked in the 60s when I was a kid. We had a friend, Hans Bank, who had a HF rig in his car, I believe. It was about the size of the microwave oven. Big 1959 Buick. Ironically, while we were, this was starting tonight, a parade of cars went by. I think they're passing by the hospital. And in the parade was a 1959, that was a Cadillac, not a Buick, but it was also a two-door like his was. His was a dark color. I don't remember whether, I think it was maybe gray. Could have been faded black, but the car that just went by was a 59 black Caddy that looked very similar to what he was driving at the time. Anyways, and then most recently, it was the local club. guys that put on a course for us, and the mentors that came into the course, so we had a chance to speak to experienced people. So that was my early connection, and then our most recent one. So thanks to all. I'll throw it back to you.
Okay, very good, Bob. Well, put the mic down, grab a business card, run down the street to the hospital, throw a business card on that guy's windshield and tell him you want to buy his car, and then you can load one of your HF stations up into there. You'll have lots of room for it now. You could put 2 or 3 of them in there for the size of what it would have been like way back when. That's a pretty cool story too. And yeah, I remember... it's amazing the size of those old vehicles and what you could put in them. And sitting in the seats, it was like sitting in a lazy boy just about. It's a wonder there was no more crashes on the highway from people falling asleep. And I remember my first car was a '74 Chevy Impala, and I could stretch out in the back seat and fall asleep. If I got tired, I would just pull over somewhere and have a nap. Anyways, VE3HIX Bob.
Good evening, Laird. Good evening, everyone on the repeater. I got interested in ham radio in the normal way through electronics, shortwave listening, and CB, of course. But the other interesting part for me was my very first day on the job at CN Telecommunications. I stumbled into this room by accident, and it was the railway order wire room, and it was CNR had their set up there, and what it was is 6 guys around the wall with desks facing the wall, and they all had a Morse code bug and a sounder, the kind that Bob IRB has, in a box elevated with a Prince Albert tobacco can stuffed in behind, so that each one had a distinctive tick-tock kind of sound when you were pressing a straight key or clicking away with a bug. And one guy in that room had invented a bug locally in Toronto that half of them were using. The others were using Vibraplex. So I said, someday I'm going to be a ham radio operator, and someday I'm going to learn how to use a bug, and someday I will. Not at the moment. VE3HIX.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that. Someday you'll become a ham operator, and someday you'll learn how to use a bug. Yep. Well, you got the ham radio part done, but that bug, I know you said you've got one there in the shack that's just driving you batty. So best just to put it on display and pretend that you know what you're talking about with that one. Pretend that you knew how to use it. Let's see if Jackie's back. VA3 BTQ.
WVZ. D3CWR.
DA3 Sierra Bravo Delta.
Hold on, I'm not taking check-ins. Hold on. I didn't get anyone's call sign there. Sorry. You caught me off guard. I'm seeing if Jackie's back, and then I'll take check-ins. VA3 BTQ. Okay, sorry about that. Everyone checking in there, I was totally ill-prepared. So let's try that again. Go ahead.
B3CW. B3WZ.
Victor Alpha 3 Sierra Bravo Delta.
And VA3AG. DE3LWJ. And VA3 Romeo Tango Victor.
Okay, I'll tell you what I have. I have VA3 WBZ William, VA3 SBD, that's Martha. Good to hear you, Martha. VA3 AG Eldo, VE3 LWJ Larry, and VA3 RTV Jeffrey. And just to let everyone know, our topic of the evening is who was the major influencer in getting you involved with amateur radio, or who's a major influencer who's keeping you in amateur radio, like who's kept your interest up and has prevented you from backsliding into the dark side. Hi. So we'll start back up with William, VA3 WBZ.
You forget me, Laird, V3CWR.
Oh, Oh, I'm sorry. I missed I missed you, Gerard. Sorry, I will get you. We'll take William first, and then I'll come back to you.
Good evening, Laird. All of us on frequency. Let's see. I got into CB radio back in the 60s. Probably 65 or 66, I guess, something like that. But amateur radio, that was VE3CWR there, Gerard. He got me into that some 20 or so years ago, I guess. Something like that. And I owe him a lot for getting me involved with that. Haven't looked back since then. We worked together in the trains quite a bit, and we talked to the trains then about radio stuff and all that, and I thought it was quite fascinating. And one thing led to another, and I got my license, and here I am today. But going back to 1965, 66, it was CB radio back then, handheld Tokai, and Lafayette, I think it was, for the mobile. That's it. And those who were following my gas engine for the generator, and that I sent it down the tank today, and it's ready for paint. Yeah, so that'll be Friday's job. I got them Friday because I got some tires to change tomorrow, and something else for a friend of mine who wanted to strip down some floor tiles so we can use them over again, apparently. So I've got to take that stuff that's on the back or whatever that stuff is and see if I can get that off. But, well, one thing after another, I guess, eh? Back to you, Laird, and hello, Gerard.
Oh, that's very good. Well, we had the I'll call it the student, and now we have the teacher. So, Gerard, you got a little star in your crown there, and so that's excellent. Glad you were able to Elmer this fine gentleman, and welcome to the Rag Chew tonight, Gerard. VE3 sub CWR, take it away. This is Laird VE3 LKS.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, my dad was a ham. He got his renewed his ticket. I think the first day you could after the war was over, when they allowed hams to get back on again. During the war, they weren't allowed to use their equipment. So. Anyway, I think I was 12 and 12 to 19. I think cadets were. I joined the Air Cadets in Sydney, and I went to the meeting, and one of the officers there knew my dad, so he said to me, he says, "You're going with Carl to the radio group." So that's where I learned CW, V1KJ. He was at the radar base running the generators and stuff up there for the radar stuff, and him and his wife, they would give the course up there, radio course. That's where I learned my CW, up there. And, of course, I kept up the CW to keep my dad happy. But, yeah, I think I got my license in 60-something. And then I wasn't active at all. And when I moved up here, phone calls were so expensive. My dad said, "Go down and get your call." So I went down to 25 St. Clair here and got the 3 CWR. There you are.
Yeah, perfect. I know all about those expensive phone calls. I mean, even back in the 80s, it was expensive to have long distance. And I remember there was a couple of hams here in Oshawa. One was, his name was Fred Thomas, and the other one was Stu Prouty. And they both had phone patches. And every once in a while on a Sunday morning, we would get a phone call from my wife's grandfather down in the States. He'd be on with one of his friends who had a phone patch, and they would link up to one of those 2 stations here in Curtis, and they would phone over to our house, and we'd have a little conversation. So know all about the circumvention of the Bell Canada phone system back then, so that you could save a bit of money, because it was expensive. Let's see. Oh, we've got a new call on the Rag Chew tonight. It's not new to us, but just new to the Rag Chew. Martha, VA3 SPD. The trumpets are playing a fanfare in the background, and welcome. This is your first night checking in.
Very funny, Laird. And I didn't realize my CD was actually being able to be heard in the background. I'm sitting in my car, waiting for my pizza to be ready over at Pizza Nova there by your house. And I thought, hey, you know what? I know there's been a few of you kind of wanting me to check in, and I just did. 7 to 8 o'clock at night is kind of bad time for me, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to check in. As far as your discussion tonight, what interests me in ham radio was my great uncle. I was telegrapher for Canadian National Railway. In fact, I've got his key. And he was the main focus for me getting a ham radio license. My dad also was another reason why I got my ham radio license when I was only, if you can believe it, 15 years old. And it's hard to believe that was 25 years ago. I got my license. But yeah, that's pretty much it. My dad, when I got my license, was teaching the Morse code, so I do have my Morse code. It's a little rusty, but I can still copy and receive, thankfully. And that's pretty much it. There is the two main reasons why I got my ham radio license. And in case some of you are wondering, I'm sure you've seen some of the pictures I had posted on Facebook last week, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. The reason I was in Saskatchewan was for a job opportunity. Fingers crossed, I'm going back out there in another 3 weeks for more testing. So unfortunately, if this job goes through, I'm going to be moving to the E5 land, but I will definitely pop on the frequency when I am the E3 land. Anyways, I will turn it back over to you because I'm sure my pizza's probably now ready, and I'm going to run in and grab it and come right back out.
Okay, very good, Martha. Well, thanks for joining us this evening, and feel free to stick around for the second round once you get home. And try Papa John's sometime. It's up on Simcoe Street there, and it's a pretty good pizza pie too. You might want to try that next time you're looking for pizza. Not that Pizza Nova is not good, but Papa John's is pretty good too. VA3 AG, and what's this about not having pickled eggs or something? I'll have to let you explain that maybe. But good evening, Eldo.
Good evening, Laird, and everyone else on the repeater. No, I just wonder if there was anybody with pickled eggs or having pickled eggs tonight. But no, I'm not having any tonight. Anyway, I think the topic is how we got interested in amateur radio. So, sit back and I will tell you the whole story. I met this guy by the name of John back in the 60s in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Okay. He was working at a radio station downtown Buenos Aires. He was only a teenager. Anyway, he got me interested in amateur radio. We used to build transmitters and receivers, and we used to play with all that stuff, you know. Of course, we couldn't afford to buy any parts down there, but he would bring them from the radio station that he worked at. He worked at LR1 Radio El Mundo, downtown Buenos Aires. Anyway, but besides amateur radio and electronics, he had a gorgeous sister that I was very interested on. She's now my wife. So there you go. So anyways, I have been interested in amateur radio for quite some time. I never got my license while I was living in Buenos Aires because, you know, we couldn't afford to buy radios or anything like that. So, but when I came here in 1977, I finally got my license. I came up here in '67. So finally got my license after 10 years, I figure, okay, I'm going to get my license. 1977 got my license. So, and, I kept my interest up ever since. I'm just a radio nut. That's what my wife calls me. So, John, my brother-in-law, he's the culprit. He's the guy that got me interested on radio, and the rest is history. By the way, he was Lima United 2 Victor Delta, but he passed away a few years ago. He had cancer and he was gone. So.
Oh, that's too bad, Aldo. Cancer is a terrible thing. I know my wife lost her brother. He was only I think barely 40 when he passed away. It doesn't respect anybody. So yeah, sorry to hear that, but glad that you have lots of fond memories, and I'm glad you got more than just a ham radio out of the deal. Hi. It sounds like you got the full package there. So that's awesome. That is a great story. VE3 RPN, I totally missed you, buddy. But as I like to say, I only miss the people that I like. Take it away. Uh-oh, maybe Scott's not around. He checked in though, I thought. Oh well, we'll try him again in a minute. VE3 LWJ Larry, and have you had the red rocket out for a run yet?
Good evening, Laird, and everybody on the air. No, I haven't even lifted the cover, Laird. Waiting for a really nice day, and I could put it out in the driveway and clean up the inside, but not even thinking about driving that yet. With regard to shortwave radio, I guess my interest was sparked reading the Hardy Boys way back in like 1950, and they had a shortwave radio, and they had a boat they called it a sloop, and their father had the shortwave radio on shore, I guess, and they had this radio on the boat, and they used to communicate, and it sparked my interest. Then around 1980, I worked with a fellow by the name of Joe White, and he was DE3IHS. He's silent T these days, but he got me interested in shortwave radio again and introduced me to the North Shore Club, and I bought a realistic SX190 receiver, and I was one of 8 SWLs in the club for a number of years in the early 80s. And then since then, I started having coffee with some friends at headquarters 2, 3, or whatever it is, McDonald's, and I met Jeff and Bob, and they renewed my interest. I started coming out to meetings, and Jeff insisted that I write the paper. So I had Jeff to thank for the fact that I do have a shortwave radio, and I'm certainly glad of it. Back to you.
Excellent. There's no saying no to some of these fellas. You can say no all you want, but they'll still just drag you to the examiner, plunk you down, and say, write it. So that's good. I'm glad you had some positive influences anyways, before Jeffrey got hold of you anyways. But that's good. And well, let's hope you get that car out. It's going to be lousy weather the next few days, though. I know this afternoon I went out, I cut my grass at noon today. When I took my lunch hour, I just had something light, and then I went out and cut the grass. And then after work, I went out and overseeded. So hopefully it'll rain for the next 3 or 4 days and get the grass started where it needs it. So very good, Larry. Nice story. VA3 RTV Jeffrey, speak of the devil.
Yes, good evening, Laird, and everybody else on frequency. And I thought I would be late this evening just to give someone else a chance to be first. Any case, very simple. My interest in electronics, radio and TV goes way back the trade services, and they repaired radio, TVs, amplifiers, etc. for the trade. But in that place upstairs, they were winding transformers, and downstairs to the right, they were building amateur radio transceivers of their own design. And so I started to build one as well, which was their design. But I ended up not bringing it with me when I came to Canada, which was in 67. Then in 68, I started at the Ontario Science Centre with the ham station there, and actually I didn't write my test until 99 when I was just about to retire. Any case, just one other quick thing. If you could let me know if Ryland did check in DKW. Just one quick thing I wanted to tell him. Thanks, Led.
Okay, very good, Jeffrey. Yeah, bringing that radio from England over to here, that would have cost you probably an extra £100 in cargo fees just to haul that thing. No, Mark and Ryland have not checked in yet, but the night's not over yet, so there's still hope. Let's see, is Scott back? VE3RPN. I don't know where Scott went to. He checked in, and I see him on YouTube a bit, but haven't been able to get hold of him. Okay, I'm going to take a short standby and see if anybody else would like to check into the COVID-19 rag chew this evening. If so, now's your opportunity.
D3SOI.
Okay, I acknowledge VE3SOI. So the question of the evening, Jimmy, in case you haven't been listening, is who was the major influencer that got you into ham radio, or who is the influencer that's keeping you interested in ham radio? Take it away, my friend.
D3SOI. Good evening to everybody on frequency, and hello, Laird. Well, after 1975, I went to Applewood Heights Secondary School in Mississauga, and they had a station there with D3AST, and my main interest, my best subject was always electronics. So then in those days it was just CD, and then I got my CD license, and then ham radio came later because, I'm talking about 30 years later, I joined the Whitby Club, and Dita would always say, when are you going to write? Every time I'd walk in and say, when are you going to write? And then Jeffrey and HIX would occasionally drop by, and then Jeffrey said he would escort me over to our ward, ARD, I think. And then and then I wrote the test, and that was on a Wednesday, and I was hurrying it up because I was trying to meet you guys at headquarters too. And so here I am, the D3SOI, and then they surprised me, and without even letting me do any studies, they made me write the advanced, which I passed as well. And here I am. Back to you, Laird.
Excellent work, Jimmy. Well, I think those guys know you well enough that if they had have let you get by just with your basic, that would have been it. You would have been hemming and hawing for the next 7 or 8 years about, you're only scoring 98.7% on the question and answers, and you're not sure if you're ready to take it yet or not. Hi. It's a good to be a perfectionist, and that's a cool story. So far, though, if I don't want to be judgmental or put anyone's story above anyone else's, but if I had to pick the story of the evening, I think it would have to be Eldo's. I mean, who else gets into ham radio and gets a good-looking girlfriend and a wife out of the deal as well? So you gotta love that. That was really good. Okay, let's go back up to the top of the list, and we'll do this all again. And so this round, it's whatever you would like to talk about. If you want to continue on talking about your amateur radio fun and all that sort of stuff, you're more welcome to. And if not, anything else is open for discussion. VE3KZT.
Okay, good evening again, Laird, and all those on frequency. What I would like you to do now, if you don't mind, is get me straightened up with
Steve, so I have his right call sign and email. I sent him an email last night and it got sent back, so obviously have something wrong. And I don't really have anything further to discuss other than I'm still working on antennas. Would like to build an antenna here, a magnetic loop, so that's what I'm up to. VE3KZT.
Okay, very good, John. So Steve's call sign is Victor Alpha 3 Tango Papa Sierra. So I'm wondering if that's a part of the email that you've got maybe turned around a bit, maybe a VE3 instead of a VA3.
Okay, that was probably it. So it's Victor Alpha 3 Tango Papa Sierra. Is that USL?
That's correct. That's correct. And if it still bounces back to you, just send me an email because I heard him tell you you're his email, so I know he's okay with you getting it, and I can also send it to you as well.
Thank you, sir. Back to net. VE3KZT will be monitoring.
Okay, very good. Next on the list, Grant, VA3KJI. And are you still wandering around the northern areas of the Schwa?
Well, harkening back to our CB days, that's a negatory, good buddy. No, I've come back to the home QTH. I just bailed for a little while because my wife was doing her online card game and I was relegated to leave. So I think that's wrapping up shortly. So I'm okay to come home and hide in the basement. And not much further to add. I did, we did get takeout from iGreek, which is a little small Greek restaurant in Bowmanville, which is very excellent. If anybody wants to add that to their list of fine eating establishments. Back to you, Laird.
Okay, very good. Well noted. I do like Greek food, so nothing like a good souvlaki, especially with the Greek salad and the roasted potatoes. Oh, now I'm getting hungry again. I just had supper. Thanks, guys. And letting you know that Gary Zed's on the YouTube channel this evening. Gary was with us on the weekend for our Zoom meeting, and we managed not to bore him too much, so he's back for some more entertainment. Good to see you, Gary. And VE3 PWJ, Peter.
Okay, that was a nice net there tonight. I'd like to say good evening to Martha. I haven't heard her in there for a long time. It's really nice to hear her in there. And we had a Zoom meeting with Margaret, CNN, over at Hillsdale, and I guess they do have a positive case of that crud that's going around. Not right in her area, but it's there. So just keep our fingers crossed there, Larry. So we'll say good evening from here, and have a good rest of the net, and we'll talk again tomorrow night, Larry. Over to you.
Oh, thanks, Peter, and glad you had a great chat with Margaret. And yes, I know Jack. He hasn't been on our net lately. I'm not. I guess he just can't reach us from his current room up there in Lindsay. But he's been testing positive for COVID. They keep testing him every few days, but so far he's had no ill side effects. He feels just fine. So except for his back, which is what he's in the hospital for. But that's good. It's and you know what? A lot of people won't have the side effects. You know, a few people will, but a lot of people will never know they had it. So that's just the way it goes. It's just like the common flu. You know, a lot of people never know they ever had it, but somewhere along the line they did. VA3 DCE, Doug.
Oh, back to you again, Laird. I liked Peter's word for the coronavirus there, crud. I can remember that. I can't spell it even. Yesterday I got out for a nice walk in the afternoon. Horizontal snow belting against me, wind whistling around my ears, and I had the trail to myself. Today I went out, it was beautiful, coat undone. I had to walk in the ditch. I had bicycles and runners and everything else jogging past me and zipping by me and all the rest of it. It was almost dangerous out there. But I'll take the nice weather anytime. It was just nice being out there, even if I was spending most of my time in the ditch. Back to you, Laird.
That's funny, Doug. I'm surprised a bike or two didn't get the cane accidentally put between the spokes high. That would have made for some entertainment, man. Very good. Well, it was a beautiful day, and I must admit it was nice getting out and getting some yard work done, and it felt good. So it's funny what a little bit of sun can do. I know when this first broke out, they were telling everyone to stay in the house, and that's the worst thing you can do. You need that vitamin sun and some fresh air. I don't know why they told everyone to stay in the house. I think what they were meaning was to stay at home and not go out anywhere. But definitely, some people were just staying in their house the whole time, which was absolutely no good. VA3 BTQ Jackie, I'm hoping you're back, or if not, maybe your battery's dead. No, well, we had her in there, but I know the last time this happened, I think her battery became ill shortly thereafter. So hopefully that's all it is tonight, and hopefully we'll hear her back in again tomorrow. And let's see, Gary is asking, what's the advantage of a magnetic loop versus a regular loop antenna? I think it's all just a matter of size. A magnetic loop is just a small, 4 or 5 foot in diameter antenna that you can sit on a balcony or in a small backyard. Whereas a regular loop antenna is probably 100 or so feet long and makes a big long loop around your yard. So if anyone else wants to comment on that too, to back me up or to correct me, that'd be great. But Gary is listening online. VE3 CRU, Bill. Okay, nothing heard. VA3 TPS, Steve.
Okay, there, very good. Another great ragnet going. Lots of good comments. Just make mention, of course, this was supposed to be Hamvention Dayton Hamfest this weekend, and they're having a Hamvention QSO party on Saturday, 16th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. All day. I think it's 5 NMCW. So if anybody's interested, you can Google that and get information on that. If you want to have a little fun, I think you just give a signal report in the first year you were at Dayton. And if you haven't gone to Dayton, you use 2020. But that's about it, Laird. So I'll be listening, and I'll say 7-3 to everybody, and everyone have a great safe night, and hopefully we'll catch you tomorrow night. VA3 TPS here in Fenelon Falls.
Okay, fine business, Steve. Yes, and I think some of the YouTubers, like some of the big guys who've got a few thousand subscribers, are also doing something this weekend. So I didn't quite squeak in there. I think I'm up to 39 subscribers now on my YouTube channel, so I'm getting there. You guys go to YouTube, smash that subscribe button, ring the bell. That's what they always say. But yeah, they're going to be doing some stuff online too. So you'll hear guys like Josh on there. He's the one who does that video for the Nano that is on our website, and you'll hear K6UDA. He's quite the character, and a bunch of other popular YouTube ham radio guys. So check them out too while you're also on the air. Let's see, VE3 VGJ Joe.
Yes, Laird, still here. Not much else to report on this round. Quite interesting to listen to how others have got their interest in ham radio and that, how they got the ticket. And good to hear Martha on there. And Martha, if you're listening, all the luck to you and the best skills in that in your job prospect there. Hope everything goes well for you. Other than that, not much else to report on there, Laird. Back to you.
Okay, very good, Joe. And any thoughts on a magnetic loop versus a regular loop antenna? I know that the size is a huge difference, but anything else?
Not a clue, Doug. Doug, or Laird, I have no idea. It's not something I've ever explored. I'm kind of curious to, I'm sort of listening on the side here too, what it's all about.
Okay, hopefully one of the antenna experts will be able to fill us in then. Okay, VE3 IRB, Robert. And did you get that Cadillac deal signed?
V3 IRB, sorry, no Cadillac for me. Just stick to my little Hyundai. The other thing I never got into is what keeps me into the hobby. Well, it's the great guys like you and everybody on here tonight. And I think we talked about how we got into it, but what keeps me going is people. So I'll throw it back to you with that.
Yes, it is a great group. I'll give it that much. You know, and the fun thing about amateur radio is you can go just about anywhere in the world, and as soon as they find out that you're a ham, you're just welcomed in as if they've known you all your life. I know I've told several stories, but the one I like to tell the most, and I'll probably put you guys to sleep again tonight, but my wife and I were heading down to Virginia once to visit her brother, and we stopped at a Ponderosa for lunch. And when I pulled in, I noticed all these vanity call sign license plates. They were all U.S. calls, but so when we went into Ponderosa, it was about 2 p.m. It was a late lunch, and there was a big long table, and all these guys were sitting at it, and I went and sat right at the table behind them. And when we got going, I started tapping out Morse code, tapping out CQ, and one of the guys at the table behind us said, "What you guys is tapping out CQ?" And no one answered. They said, "Oh, you're just hearing something." So I did it again. And he said, "No, someone's tapping out CQ." And one of the guys said, "Oh, yeah, I think I heard it too." And then a few minutes later, I tapped it out using my Canadian call sign as well. And, okay, who's trying to use a Canadian call sign? And that's when I turned around and said, that would be me. And again, you're just one of the crowd then. You know, we had to move tables and join them, and that was it. No questions asked. It's like Jeffrey making you take the test. You can't say no. You just got to do it. VE3HIX, Bob.
Okay, good evening again. It's been a nice evening. Gary, you're asking about mag loops compared to a normal loop antenna. The mag loops are not as efficient as other antennas, but they are very small and they are very sharp. So they have very sharp tuning and are high Q. You can use them low to the ground. You can use them right on the ground vertically. For horizontal, they got to be 21 feet off the ground. But you're sending half your signal right into the earth. They develop a very high voltage, so the capacitor in there has to be able to use a butterfly capacitor or a vacuum cap to tune it. And you have to have a remote tuning method for that. And they put out about a 10-degree cone out of each end, where you could use for direction finding of all things that you cannot send a signal out through that little narrow space, but the signal goes everywhere else. For a regular loop antenna, they're very high efficiency. They're large, and they cover all bands, and they don't have to use high efficiency capacitors or anything like that. Bigger is better, and higher is better, and more bands it covers, the easier it gets. So I hope that answers some of the stuff. The little mag loops are really nice for portable operation. But if you're going to get one that's made out of hollow aluminum or something, it's the same as anything else. It gets full of bugs and all the rest of it outdoors. Anyway, I hope that answered a few questions. Back to you, Laird, VE3HIX.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so it's more or less what I was along the lines that I was thinking, but I'm glad you explained it even in more detail there, Bob. I know a little bit about them, but just enough to be dangerous. And yes, Gary, if you actually go on YouTube and look up magnetic loop antennas, you'll find all sorts of videos there from amateurs who will show you how to build them, to how to use them. So a lot of good information there too. Let's see, VE3RPN, are you back with us? Okay, nothing heard. VE3CWR, Gerard.
Okay, nothing much more here, Laird. Gang of
there. Yeah, it's been a good day today, I guess. My grandson came over and we got all the grass seed down. He's got the flower beds all done up and got the yard looking pretty. And ham radio, I think the big thing is it kept me and my dad really close over the years. He died in '86, but anyway, up until then, I think 3-4 times a week we talked. 20 meters in those days was open all the time, just wide open. In the old days there. I'm still waiting for that cycle they keep telling us every 11 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's about it from here. So everybody have a great evening. Take care and stay safe. God bless. Catch you later. E3CWR.
Very good, Gerard. Yes, that 11-year cycle has been going on for like 25 years now. So it'd be nice to have it come back at least once in my lifetime where I can experience all the super HF contacts and everything. But until then, we'll just keep on keeping on, I guess. But it would be nice to experience. VA3 WBZ, William.
Yeah, Laird, VA3WZ. Don't have too much to offer the link. Just out of curiosity, the people who got into CB back in the 60s and that, how many people can remember or still have your old CB license around and all that? I remember I got on the CB radio probably about 20 years back. I put my call sign out. And a couple people come back to me and ask me, what's that you called out there? And I said, my call sign. What is your call sign? They told me that they don't have call signs anymore. And mine at that time was VA3,
XM.
XM 425029 was my mobile number, and XM 423168 was the base call sign. But it's just called me Grandpa, I thought it was being a little disrespectful, I guess, the way they said it and all that stuff. But I often wondered, why did they go and drop call signs on CB radio back then?
You don't pay a license anymore.
Yeah, they discontinued the qualifications for a license. Now, I didn't have a CB in the 60s, but I did in the 70s, and I was XM 4285 609. So it's funny what you can remember, eh? Like, who would think that you could remember that kind of stuff? But I guess our brains are triggered that way. And I know one evening early on in this COVID-19 rag chew, we had a discussion about how you got into ham radio, and a lot of the guys on here were CB operators and made the jump to ham radio to get a bit more serious about it, and so it was really quite interesting. But yes, it was because they ditched the yearly fee. It just wasn't. Probably administratively, it wasn't worth the money. So for the government to hire a whole bunch of bureaucrats, so they ditched it. Does that answer your question there, William?
Yeah, it does. I still have my CB radio. I guess the wrapper's gone now, but I've never hooked it up. It's one I got from Sears. 23 channel with the sideband. So I picked that up. Oh, brother, it's got to be maybe back in the early 80s, something like that. They had it on sale at Sears up in Newmarket. And just walking by, I said, well, why not? So I grabbed it. I had the box for many, many years, and then I went down to my brother's place on the lake. He never used it, so I brought it home. I still have it at home here now. It's never had power to it in all these years. 23 channels and sidebands, upper and lower sideband onto it. I'm going to say 7-3 tonight, guys, and call it quits, and we'll be chit-chatting you tomorrow, I hope. VA3, WBZ, we'll be clear. Thanks, guys.
Oh man, you need to get that out of the box and see if it runs. That'd be awesome. I know my first radio. I cut grass. I shoveled snow. I delivered catalogs and stuff. And once I got, I think it was $75. I went over to the Hortop Variety. There was an old guy in there. His name was Joe, and he had all sorts of stuff in his store. And he had a CB radio up on the shelf, and I bought that, took it home, and the rest is history. The one I wish I still had was a President Washington 40 channel sideband radio, but I traded that a long, long time ago. I wish I still had it. VA3 SBD Martha, did you finish your pizza, and what kind was it? Oh, Martha must be inside chowing down on said pizza as we talk. So Aldo, VA3AG, VE3LKS.
Okay. Well, I was just upstairs helping the XYF in the kitchen. Dinner's a little late tonight, so looks like we're going to be eating around 9-ish or so tonight, so that's okay. And, well, I've never played with CB radios, but I guess, similar to 10 meters, I guess. Only channelized, was it? Anyway, I don't have much more to add. Yeah, I'll just head back here and listen. I'll probably get the Din call pretty soon, so I'll probably have to run. Oh, by the way, I was waiting for your email today. So anyway, I guess you'll send it when you're ready. V3LKS, V3AG.
Yes, I saw your email tonight just before the rag show, and I sent you a reply. Sorry about that, Aldo. I totally forgot. So I did send you a message. So you'll have one there now. And yeah, we'll just have to plan a time where we can get together and swap apart so you can try something there. And I don't know if you missed it or not, but I think your story is the coolest. And not only did you get a ham radio license, you got a marriage certificate. Very good. And yeah, so you said Din's at 9 o'clock. So attention, everybody on frequency. Look up Aldo's call at rack.ca. And then just grab a paper plate and head over to his place. As you drive by, his wife will scoop you out a serving of meat and potatoes, and you can just keep going on your way. Okay, no comment from Aldo. Okay, very good. VE3LWJ, Larry. Maybe Larry's out banging the pots and pans. VA3 RTV, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laird. And I've just got, I guess, two things I wanted to mention. As you know, when we spoke this morning, I've had a pretty rough night last night, and this morning I was actually in agony, and Lois came to me with this little capsule, and I said, "What's that?" And she says, "Well, I made it," and she's put all these ingredients in this little capsule. So I said, "So what's in it?" And so she said, "Eye of new, 2 bat's wings." And I said, "Oh, stop! I'll just take it. I don't want to know what's in it." So I took it, and wow, I started to feel better. And I went out on my bike, and I was gone. I went to see Larry, and I did a few little errands and that. And I came back and got the energy and no pain. And I've been tidying up in the garage and that. So, wow, I feel pretty good. So, next time Lois goes out, I'm wondering if she wants to use the Nimbus 2000 broom, because I think it's got a little bit more speed. In any case, on another note, I know Ryland and Mark haven't signed in, but my brother told me something quite interesting last night. He said they took a Harley Davidson Road King, and they checked to see its miles per gallon, and it roughly worked out at 37 miles per gallon, which I thought was a little high, but in any case. Then they took the engine out, and they put a lawnmower engine in it, don't know what size or anything, and then they checked the miles per gallon on the lawnmower engine, and believe it or not, 37 miles per gallon. Obviously, the little engine was flat out all the time, but I thought that was interesting, and I thought Ryland would get a kick out of that. Back to you, Led.
Excellent, and that's good. So when your engine is giving you grief, we can just put the Briggs and Stratton on there from your lawnmower, and away you go. Perfect. Yeah, well, maybe at the end here we'll do one more call for check-in, and hopefully they'll be around. But the Nimbus 2000, it's interesting you mentioned that. We used to have a reverse osmosis water filter by a company called Nimbus, and it was the Nimbus 2000. But if I were you, I'd be starting to run right now, because Lois is going to be hitting you over the head with that Nimbus 2000 broom. So take heed. I would keep one eye open tonight as you sleep. Let's see. Down at the bottom, VE3SOI Jimmy.
I was going to say, Laird, you read me like a book. Pretty soon I'm going to hire you as my shrink. VE3SOI here. But all good. I don't have any more topics to say, but I enjoyed the evening and everybody's story on tonight. Back to you, Liz.
Okay, very good, Jimmy. And yes, it was an entertaining evening. It's always fun to, especially when we have a topic, hearing all the different stories. It's a lot of fun. And with that, I'm going to take one last call for check-ins, and hopefully Mark and Rylan are there, because they've had a couple of people look for them tonight. But anyways, I'll take a standby and see if anyone else wants to check in. This is Laird, VE3LKS. Okay, nothing heard. Eldo, VA3AG, is wondering, Jimmy, what is your HF radio? So go ahead and list them all off, Jimmy.
I was going to say my friend is William WBZ. He's got a transceiver that's still in the box. Mine is a Kenwood CS990, and because of Jeffrey, Laird, and HIX Bob, it came out of the box and it still sits on my desk. And then I have a Kenwood 690 TS690S, and I also have an older Kenwood, which is probably not worth mentioning, but it's just a 2 meter, so that doesn't apply. So yeah, 690S and 990S. Back to you, Laird.
Yes, and neither one of them has seen an antenna connected to them by Jimmy or transmitted on by Jimmy. So they're basically new old stock. Hi. Very good. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add before I close down the rag chew for the evening?
VA3AG.
VA3AG, go ahead.
Yeah, you double with somebody else, Laird.
Okay, that other station, go ahead.
VE3SAA.
Okay, that's Percy. Good evening, Percy, and how are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Laird, and to all on frequency. I just got up off my evening nap, so I'm still trying to get organized here. What can I say? First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my ham radio buddy. His name was Helmet, and his call sign was VE3 JNC, Japan, Norway, Canada. VW man, but he took it with him. Anyhow, I'm going to drop it here. On the swap net we used to have years ago, it's gone now, but we'd have a swap net once a week. And Hellman happened to be looking for, would you believe it, a window air conditioner for his apartment. And I happen to have one. So all of a sudden he's at my doorstep looking for it. $50 and I give it to him. It was like brand new, but anyhow, Helmut said to me, he said, "Do you mind if I use your phone?" And I said, "No, go ahead." So he was on the phone for a few minutes to, I don't know who the other party was. I couldn't hear that, but all I could hear was, "I'm very sorry to hear that." And it was something bad that was on the other end. So he got off the phone and he said, my friend, he's has to go into the hospital for some work. I don't know what it was, but anyway, he said to me, would you like to go to Singapore on a trip? So to keep it short, it wasn't too long before I was on a 747 Boeing on my way to Singapore with Helmut, and it was the 7th or 17th thing of heart transplant, the Canadian transplant. They have them every 2 years in different countries. So there we are in Singapore. From there to Singapore to 2 years after to Hungary to 2 years after England. But I have to tell you this, that I have never seen so many people that were fortunate enough to get transplants in their heart, lungs, or not lungs, but heart, kidney mostly. And it was just mind-blowing to have all those people that were sick with looking for a transplant things, and now they're well, I guess a lot of them are still walking around, and it was great, but it was quite interesting.
Code 27838. Time out.
Okay, very good, Percy. And so I'm going to take it the Helmut was a ham operator, and that's cool that you got to tag along with them to several places like that. And hopefully you guys got to do some amateur radio work while you were there as well. Aldo, are you still there? I know you were wanting to make a connection again.
No, Dan is not ready yet. So yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I remember the 3JNC helmet. Yeah, way back. Yeah. Gee, I forget what I was going to say now. That's awful. Oh, yes. Yes. We were talking about radios there, Jimmy. Jimmy, that 990, that's a nice radio. I've got the one down. I just got it, actually, not too long ago. About maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. No, not even 4 weeks. It's a TS890S. You know which one I mean. It's the one model lower from the 990. I couldn't afford the 990. So I went for the 890. Nice radio. Very, very nice. It does, it's just unbelievable. Anyway, and also, what else did I have here? I have a TS590SG that I got about 3 months ago. That's another nice radio. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that to Jimmy, so maybe he'll want to answer something there. I don't know if he wants to get in and comment on something.
Yeah, thanks, Aldo. Dieter and I have made an arrangement. As soon as this COVID thing kind of dies down and we're allowed to congregate again, he's going to come and help me and connect all the radio up. That'll keep Laird and Jeffrey and Bob and a few others off my back. And then I'll start transmitting, and I promise I will look for you on an HF frequency, whether I have to agree ahead of time or not. But somehow we'll get this thing transmitting and on the air. Back to you, Aldo, and you finish up, and then we'll turn it over to Laird, and he can close up P3SOI.
Jimmy, if I had $1 for every excuse you've given me as to why you don't have the 990 on the air, I could have probably bought 2 990s by now. Anyways, back to you, Aldo.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's nothing to it. When I first got the 90, it was, I put it on the desk, and it was kind of intimidated by the looks of this thing. It's a huge radio, and it weighs 35 pounds. So I don't know. I think the 990 is about the same size. It's almost 18 inches by, I don't know, 6 or 7 high by 18 inches deep. It's a monster. Anyway, beautiful radio though. So, they're very easy to operate. Everything is right there. Menu-wise is excellent, and a lot of the buttons that you use on a daily basis are right there. So, it's a real nice radio. And of course, the 590 SG is nice too. Lots of buttons and everything is there. Anyway, back to you, Laird. Didn't want to be too long-winded here.
No, I think the net is officially over, so you guys, we can carry on now at will. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated this evening. As always, if it wasn't for you guys, I'd be sitting here talking to myself, which would be boring. But Jimmy, see this radio right here? Yeah, I could buy 10 of those for the price of yours. Let's see what else. And yes, if I had a loony for every excuse you've given me why you can't hook it up an antenna, I could have 2 990s by now. What do you think, Jimmy?
You know me pretty good, Laird. Sometimes I'm so sheepish as I approach the bench. You pretty well read me correctly. But everything will work out and it's all good. Don't forget, in 1970, I couldn't afford anything, and I saved and finally got this 990. So for me, just to have it is so nice. But Dieter and I will work something, and I promise I'll make good. Okay, and the 990 will live again. Back to you, Laird. 3 SOI.
Ka-ching! I just got another loony. They're falling from heaven tonight, Jimmy. Very good. Was there anybody else who needed on the repeater for anything? If so, let me know.
Break of E3SA.
Yes, go ahead, Percy. Oh, and I was curious as to whether this fellow was an amateur radio operator.
My friend Helmut, is that who you speak of?
Yes, because it sounded like he was. I'm going to assume that he was some sort of a heart surgeon.
No, he was a heart transplant.
Oh, he was a recipient. Okay, very good. Now it makes more sense. Okay, go ahead, Percy. Take it away.
Just, I've got
a radio to sell here, and I want to see if anybody might be interested in it. It's Collins 4566. Six of them are sitting here in front of me, and I have no idea what it would be worth, but it'll go to the highest bidder, and I think it's worth a fair buck, and it's pretty clean. It's not dirty at all, or no bumps or bangs, or anyway, it's all Collins stuff except for one piece. I saved that at Tuner, but we'll leave it at that. And if anybody's interested, they can get a hold of me at the E3SAA.
Okay, very good, Percy. Yeah, maybe if we'll need to set your alarm a bit earlier and get on earlier in the net, and that way you'll have more of a captive audience too. Yeah, if you know what model number in that is, that would help too. And there's also online, if you're on the computer, you can go to the KW Swap Shop. It's a Canada-wide amateur radio swap shop, and it's a fantastic place to buy and sell used equipment as well.
Okay, real fine. Well, anyway, we'll leave it at that, and if anybody is listening and heard it and are interested, they can get a hold of you, and we'll go from there, but no hurry on it, you know.
Percy, V3HIX.
Say again?
The V3HIX, the Collins, the main units, do you have a number for them, and can you tell me whether they have a round label or a long bow tie label? Over.
No, I can't see too well, and I don't want to get into it. I just kind of put it out there as some person, and if you're interested in it, we can QSY maybe to 5-2 or something if I can reach it, and go from there. But it's sitting here doing nothing but collecting a little bit of dust.
Just curious as to what they were.
Yeah, if you can get the model number, Percy, that would be more ideal. It'll help guys identify what particular Collins radio it was.
Yeah, Roger. Well, they all have their own call sign or call. You know, like, what do you call it at the back of them?
The model number?
Roger.
Yeah, and that's what you need. You need to get the model numbers for each of them, because that way then the guys can look them up on like rig picks and see exactly what model they are, and it'll just help. It'll help determine whether someone's interested or not. You know, it'd be like saying I've got a Kenwood for sale, but if you don't have the model number, no one's going to know what it is.
Yeah, I'll have to get a list going, and I don't have them all, but there's let me see, well, I don't want to get into it tonight because I haven't got any information down, you know, but I can do that tomorrow, maybe if somebody's interested. I don't want to take up too much of the next time, that's all.
Well, we're done now, Percy. So if you wanted to chat with Bob or that, or if you just want to take some time tomorrow and see if you can find the model numbers and then hop back on the Rag Chew tomorrow night, that's fine. But no, don't worry about taking up time. We're all done for the evening.
VE3IRB.
Go ahead, Robert.
Yes, VE3IRB, Robert here. I'm always interested. Bob's the expert. I would defer to him, but I would suggest Percy maybe talk to Bob or to Laird directly. off air, and I would be curious. I have no idea what values are. I have no idea what it is. I would rely on Bob's knowledge if he was interested. That would be the best home for it. But I'm always curious about old equipment. As you know, I have a bit of a collection. Yeah, feel free, Laird, to pass on my information to Percy. I'd suggest maybe you pass on Bob's information, or vice versa, and have a contact done off air. It's a little hard to do on air when we don't know the details, etc. But it'd be, I think, a good thing to talk off air and exactly what's available, radios, is there other stuff? I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no problem. I don't mind being the middle guy to have stuff bounced off me to put people in contact with each other. And yeah, Percy, if we can get the model numbers, that'd be awesome. Because that'll just make it a lot more easier for people to identify. So maybe take your time. No rush tonight. But if you do come up with the model numbers, and there should be model numbers on the front, I do believe as well. So it might be easy to find that way. But Bob would be the one who would know most about that. But yeah, if you can get the model numbers, that'll help us out greatly. VE3 SAA, VE3 LKS.
Okay, Larry, that sounds good. Is Bob? That's not you're not the Bob that bought some stuff off me a little while ago, are you?
I don't think so. Where are you located? Over.
I'm in a condo over in Ajax, Bob, and I can't get HF fired up. I'm all right with 2 meters, but I can't get HF. I think I'd like to get on HF, but there you go.
No, not me. A different Bob. I was just wondering if the main unit or main 2 units, right above the dial, right above the main knob, there should be a number like a 32S1 or a 32S3 or something like that, or a 75S-2, something of that nature. Just wondering, is it possible to read those from there? Over.
No, not really. Leave it till I get a complete. Leave it go for now, Bob, and I'll probably on tomorrow night anyway, and I might have some info for you if you want to hang in after it clears the air,
I'll be listening tomorrow night just to see what's going on. Take it easy, everybody. VE3HIX clear.
Oh, and Percy, the net controller gets a percentage. No, just joking. Great to have you with us tonight, Percy. And who knows? It sounds like you may have some possible interest in those radios. So let's hope that everything works out. Anyways, I'm going to say 73, everybody. It's been a long day, and I need to get my beauty rest, because if you're looking at me on YouTube, you'll all be agreeing. So I'll say 73. Wish you all a good evening, and looking forward to doing this again tomorrow night. VE3 LKS, and I'll be clear.
Roger. This is just a tidbit.